Welcome back. This next clip is from just a bystander who was a nurse that was helping Isaac after the tragic incident on Apple River. This kind of helps fill in the pieces because at the end of it, after the video stopped, we weren't really sure who was doing what. This kind of helps a little bit tell us what was going on surrounding Isaac.
Baldazo, Baldazo.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a registered nurse. My family and I had gone boating on tubing on the Apple River.
Who were you with, generally speaking?
My husband, my 3 children that are teenagers, a group of friends with us, and my husband's cousin.
Were you folks having drinks?
Yes,
Did you specifically have some alcoholic drinks?
I did.
Do you remember how many?
I think it was 2 to 3. I had 2 White Claws, and I think I had a sip of Shelley's Cayman Jacks.
Do you think you were impaired?
Buzzed, not drunk.
All right. At some point, as you're floating down the river, did you become involved with an incident where some folks have been injured?
Yes.
Tell us how that started.
We had grouped our tubes together, we had tied them together, and so I ended up kind of on the back end, and I was floating down the river backwards, and my husband said, those people are having a good time, or they're having quite a party, something along those lines, and I turned my head to the right, and I could see one person laying down on the river's edge and another person further down, and people were, what I had thought was laughing, but turned into screaming, yelling.
What did you do when you saw?
I knew somebody was hurt, and so I jumped off the raft and ran across the river. Well, it was so slow, I was trying to run fast, but the water was too thick, so then I ended up kind of falling forward and army crawling across to him, and when I got up, there was a blonde boy.
Did you know who that boy was? Did you find out later who it was?
Yes.
Who was it?
Isaac. He was on the bank, kind of with his right arm in the lake, or in the, whatever, the river. There was a kind of a copse of trees right before where he was laying, and kind of up into the edge there, and then a little further down there was somebody else sitting, I thought was sitting.
By somebody else, do you mean somebody else?
Like another somebody hurt.
All right.
Yes, so he was lying on his back. His eyes were open but not blinking. He was not breathing. So I started chest compressions right away and continued that for a long time.
Did you make a primary assessment of his wound?
I saw that there was a large cut. At first I thought he had been impaled on the set of roots and branches that were hanging down just prior to that. But then I looked, and it was a slash mark, not an impale thing. It was a long and thin and clean cut.
Where was it located on his body?
On his left chest, upper chest, kind of his ribs.
All right. So what?
I asked, I was doing compressions, and people were screaming, and it was making me lose count. So I think I yelled out to somebody, shut up or stop screaming, so that I could count. There were other people around. I asked for somebody to get me anything that I could use as a chest seal, Ziploc bag, anything to put over that wound. I didn't want any water or anything getting in there, but I looked down at Isaac, and there was some vomit coming from his mouth at some point. To turn the kid up front to turn his head, which he did, and the kid splashed some water, which got in his eyes, and I said, don't splash water in his face anymore. And it just continued forever. It felt like forever that we did compressions. I kept asking, where's the rig? Why isn't it here yet?
By rig, do you mean, what do you mean?
Ambulance. I said 45 minutes because I think I thought that's what it was, but somebody corrected me later that it wasn't. It felt like forever. I mean, we were going and going round after round. Other people were performing compressions. We were singing Baby Shark to keep people on the rhythm.
Were you taking turns giving him?
Yeah. And at some point, when somebody had taken over a round of compressions for me, I got up and went to check, walked just a few steps further down the river to check the other victim, but it looked to me like they were up and speaking and conscious, so I went back to Isaac because he was not. I'm primarily a med-surg nurse, but I do float down to the emergency room and involved in code situations.
Eventually, did law enforcement and EMTs arrive?
Yes,
Were you still with Isaac at that point?
yes,
Was he taken off the river?
yes.
Did you see any of the altercation prior to you giving care to Isaac?
I did not.
Oh, can you imagine living with that memory? And I think probably his mother was able to bond with this woman, I'm sure, after all this happened, and she was able to tell her something that gave her some kind of peace, hopefully. I don't know. It sounds like, from what they said, and this is graphic, just so warning, Isaac was stabbed in his chest, and the knife went upward, going through 2 ribs and slashing his heart. So they spoke as if his death might have been immediate. So the only solace I think anybody can have in this is that he didn't suffer. And maybe he was in very little pain before he died. I don't know. What can you say? There's nothing to say. It's a sad situation. Please keep his family in your prayers, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be dropping videos on this trial with various clips all throughout the weekend, so please stay tuned. Y'all have a blessed day.